Great.
Okay, thank you for your patience. We had a lot of difficulties with this machine. The slide projector wasn't speaking to the iMac. So thank you for your patience, and I hope everyone can see me in the back. Can everyone see me? Marcia, can you see me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. Okay, we put out this invitation, and there are so many people here that came that I really need to thank. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Jennifer McKenzie, and everyone else. What happened is, this is the UNIA Division 432 in Queens and in Harlem. Okay, I'm going to give you a very quick background of the UNIA, why we're here, and this meeting that we called for. This is our introduction to our economic vehicle and why it's going to work and what has happened in the past and why it hasn't worked out. We put this out. I'm going to introduce to you the economic self-reliance aspect of UNIA, and then Mr. Duncan is going to take you to heaven, basically, in this plan. Okay.
Like, wow.
My name is Raymond Duge, and I am the Vice President of Division 432. Come on in, Carrie. Paris, come on in. Marcus, find a seat for Carrie Hilton and her lovely daughter, Paris Clark. Okay, my name is Raymond Duge. I'm the Vice President of Division 432. Mr. Michael R. Duncan is the President of Division 432. But that's not the most important thing. You know what the most important thing is? That he owns Jamaica Breeze Restaurant. Why is that important? Because the lesson is economics. Because of what Jamaica Breeze is doing. Well, when I say Michael Duncan owns it, he actually owns it with his sister, but it's one and the same. They're all Duncan. But what's happened is this is an investment vehicle. What Jamaica Breeze has afforded us is incredible, and I'm going to explain to you. We have something like $11,000 in the bank. We have about $11,000 in our account, but none of that is our money, believe it or not. All of that is through the largesse of Michael R. Duncan. All of that through Jamaica Breeze. So basically, what we're showing is it's not just the culture, not just the politics, but it comes down to the economics. Okay, where's Marcus?
Marcus is...
Cool.
What he did with it.
Okay. I don't need you, Marcus, outside. I just wanted to call you. Okay, this is the UNIA ACL Division 432. Our namesakes are Marcus Garvey and Carlos Cooks. Okay, this is the preamble of the UNIA. The reason why I'm going through this is I need to get to the economic portion, but before I do that, I have to explain certain things to you. The UNIA and ACL is a social, friendly, humanitarian, charitable, educational, institutional, constructive, and expansive society. And it's founded by persons desiring to the utmost to work for the general uplift of the Negro peoples of the world. And the members pledge themselves to do all in their power to conserve the rights of their noble race and to respect the rights of all mankind, believing always in the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God. The motto of the organization is one God, one aim, one destiny. Therefore, let justice be done to all mankind, realizing that if the strong oppresses the weak, confusion and discontent will ever mark the path of man. But with love, faith, and charity towards all, the reign of peace and plenty will be heralded into the world, and the generations of men shall be called blessed. To put this in a nutshell, what it's saying is this is a positive organization. We just don't have time for negative work. We're trying to uplift our people.
That's right.
Who's got time to denigrate and to chastise other people? God knows we've got enough work. And look what it says, love, faith, and charity. Really, The bottom line is, if you don't love yourself, you cannot love your own kind.
Black love is
And you
the
need
black
to do
nation.
that to uplift the race.
So let's get
Every
it.
time you see another nation on the African continent become independent, you know that Marcus Garvey is alive. Had it not been for Marcus Garvey and the foundations laid by him, you would find no independent nations in the Caribbean today. All of the freedom movement that is taking place right here in America today was initiated by the work and teachings of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. This statement was said by Malcolm X in 1964. What's important to realize is that he says it after he leaves the Nation of Islam, where he says, guess what? If it hadn't been for what Garvey taught, the concept of race uplift, the concept of race upbuild, nobody would be anywhere. And X doesn't even mention the red, black, and green, the flag that stands for everything we do. But Garvey isn't the first. No, by far. What is so special about Garvey is he puts it all together and he wraps it around. He says the only two things to be UNIA. One is race uplift. But the necessary corollary to the race uplift is the self-reliance economics. But then you've got to wrap it around. You know what he wraps it around? Concept of nationhood. The reason why you do everything is because you're building a nation. Because guess what? There are more than 40 million black people in the United States. We are a nation. Because there is black America and there is white America. So we're already considered a nation. Just have to put into practice. But to do that, you got to organize.
That's right.
Who are these others that Garvey learns from? I'm going to start from top left. Top left is the man responsible for the revolution in Haiti, otherwise known as Haiti. It's Mackendal. Mackendal is the first one to say, you know, instead of just worrying about yourselves, your group, your family, your tribe, it's got to be race first. Why none of the other slave revolts ever succeeded? They were looking out for themselves. The Maroons in Jamaica, they were looking out for their community. No one ever said, it's not about our community. We've got to go free the whole race. It's Mackendal who starts it. And the one who finally conceives it, who does it, is Dessalines. Next to Dessalines is Martin Delany. Martin Delany, not once, but twice saved the city of Pittsburgh from the cholera and from another plague. He believes that, he says, we are African. We will never ever be respected until we build our nation. Next to him is Henry Highland Garnett. Henry Highland Garnett was so radical that Frederick Douglass wouldn't even speak to him. He says, you've got to throw away the nonsense until you liberate your minds, until you get together. You'll never, ever be respected.
That's right.
Down bottom left is Alexander Cromwell. Alexander Cromwell is a bishop. He's a man of God. But he goes to Africa. In fact, when you hear Garvey speak, that's Alexander Cromwell. All of that is Cromwell. Next to Cromwell is basically the father of black nationalism, Edward Wilmot Blyden, who's from, he's from St. Croix, St. Thomas, from the Virgin Islands. He goes over to Liberia. From Liberia, he even gets to Sierra Leone. What he says is, black people, unless you come together, unless you realize that you're black and that you're African, you build your nation, you'll never ever be respected. Next to him is Bishop Henry McNeil Turner. He's a mulatto, and you know what he says? He's a man of God. He says, guess what? Throw away the likeness of the white man's God, who for so long has brought us to tears, but listen to liberty who speaks in all our hearts. He gets that from Bookman. And he says, guess what? If God does exist, he says, God couldn't possibly, Jesus Christ couldn't possibly look like me. He had to be a dark-skinned black man. This is what he says, look what he looks like. Next to him is Garvey's first tutor, Dr. J. Robert Love. He's the first black graduate from the University of Buffalo Medical School. After he gets his medical degree, he ends up going to Haiti. He spends 10 years. The only reason why he leaves Haiti is he's expelled because by that time the people of Haiti had given up the concept of Dessalines. So he says, you guys are nothing but fools. You're allowing the white power structure to dictate what you're doing. So he's exiled. Where does he go? He goes to Jamaica. 1907. Who does he meet in Kingston? Marcus Garvey. He's Garvey's first tutor. He teaches Garvey the whole concept. When you see Garvey says the black skin is not a badge, it's not a symbol of shame, but a badge of courage. That's J. Robert Love who taught him those words. Next to J. Robert Love is Joseph Antenor Firmin. He's the first black anthropologist who refutes the concept that black people are naturally inferior. He says it can't be. Look at all the great work that they have done. Look at the pyramids everywhere. He even makes the comment, look in Mexico. When you go to Teotihuacan and Xochimilco, you see these black statues. He says the Mexicans aren't black, and no Mexican would put a picture of him that big. Top left is Henry Sylvester Williams. He's the first black, he's from Trinidad. He's the one who first calls the Pan-African Congress in 1900. Eventually he moves out to South Africa. He's the first black lawyer in South Africa. He tries to get together with this Indian lawyer. He says, let's get together. Let's see if we can help the colored people, meaning the blacks as well as the East Indians in South Africa. The South African attorney says to him, nah, you gotta go on your own. You know who the South African attorney who told him to go on his own? Gandhi. He was trying to get together. Gandhi said, nah, you go on your own way. Next to him is Duge Muhammad Ali. Duge Muhammad Ali is Garvey's second tutor. He's the one who teaches Garvey about Nubia. Can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
He's the one who teaches Garvey about Nubia. Believe it or not, Garvey wasn't aware of Nubia and the concept that the Nile doesn't flow from north to south.
It's not working. It's not working. The mic.
Yeah, it's working. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. He's the one who teaches Garvey that until then, Garvey didn't even know that the Nile River doesn't flow north to south. It flows south to north. So it had to have started in the south and goes, when it gets up to what is now Egypt, that's the very end. Next to him is John Edward Bruce. John Edward Bruce is going to become the finest editor of Garvey's newspaper. What's important about John Edward Bruce is he is personal friends with Edward Wilmot Blyden, personal friends with Alexander Cromwell, personal friend with Martin Delany. He knows all of these guys, but Garvey doesn't. He's the one who's going to provide Garvey that information. Once Garvey meets up with John Edward Bruce, that's the final piece that Garvey was missing. Next to John Edward Bruce is His Excellency Marcus Mosiah Garvey.
That's right.
Next to him is Carlos Cooks. Carlos Cooks can only be described as the ideological son of Marcus Garvey.
That's right.
He's the one who continues the work of Garvey. Garvey dies 1940. And right after Garvey dies, he says, okay, I've had enough with the UNIA, because he was the youngest general of the African Legion. While Garvey was still alive, he was still a member of the African Legion. But once Garvey passes away, he says, guess what? You guys have lost the direction. So he starts his own organization called the African Nationalist Pioneer Movement. The only difference between that and UNIA is the name, but it's UNIA all the way. He's the one who starts out what they call the Buy Black campaign. What he does is he encourages black people to patronize your own kind. And if you need shoes and you don't have your own kind who makes shoes, then he says we need to get together and go buy our own shoe store. Underneath that picture, the picture of Garvey, those are the two finest women members of the UNIA. The one in the middle is Lady Henrietta Vinton Davis, the finest organizer that UNIA has ever had. And next to her, on her right, is Amy Garvey. The Black skin is not a badge of shame, but rather a glorious symbol of national greatness. That's J. Robert Love, who teaches, got me that.